I'm tired.
I'm a little tired. Nothing crazy. Had to get up a little early, take the wife to the airport. What's going on, everybody? We are live. It is Wednesday, May 15th, and star of the show is here. Mr. Bink himself. Ship my money in the house. Good day yesterday for him, so kudos to you. I'm happy for you.
Thanks, man. I don't believe you, but appreciate it.
I am for for legitimate ones, you know? That's
Yeah.
If you're less like, I got second in the, 100-man some garbage tournament, I wouldn't care at all.
Yeah. I got fourth in the $5 22K yesterday also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, $500. Really?
You know who also got fourth?
You?
The Lakers. Yeah. So Laffy and I had a little bit of a conversation yesterday where we talked about how fun Zion would be on the Pelicans, which was a little bit clairvoyant, I guess. Didn't see that one going that way, though. Fun lottery. For a second, I thought he was going to get stuck in Memphis, which would have been, well, great. Go talk to Marc Gasol, find a good realtor. We've got 8 games today, kind of a generic early slate as well. Weather looks fine for the 8, so we'll work our way through that 8-game slate. First and foremost, MLB Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. So if you want to check us out, now's the perfect time to do it. We've got content for every sport imaginable. Heading into PGA Championship tomorrow morning. We'll have Live Before Lock with Ben and Jason tonight at 9. So if you're looking to get any golf content in for the second major of the year, today's the day to do it. And you can use the promo code MLB Strategy and still get access to that. Finally, we are brought to you, as always, by Yahoo. Yahoo is the presenting sponsor for this show, for the Deeper Dive, and for the Early Bird podcast. If you want to sign up for Yahoo, I would highly recommend you use this link. It's just helpful for us, honestly. But if you do this, you could use the promo code AWESEMO and get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. I think Yahoo is probably the best place for most people to start their day. 10 max tournaments, much better payout structures than you normally see. They have lower management fees, or sometimes no management fees. You're going to find softer competition. It would be my number one spot. My number one recommendation to anybody trying to get into DFS a little bit deeper is to put your money onto Yahoo. I think you'll have a better time of it. I think it's interesting. I sent you the screenshot earlier today. Let me see if I still have it and I can pull it up. But I wanted to talk about it a little bit before we get.
Send it to me?
I did send it to you. You know what I'm talking about.
Did I answer you?
Yeah, it's the screenshot of your entry from. Yeah. Nothing too crazy. So you can see on the screen. This is the snapshot of the top of the tournament that Adam binked yesterday, but the co-bink, wakey, and what you can see on the screen are two very different approaches to playing a GPP. You cashed 53 of 150. You had 127 players in your player pool in that tournament. Wakey cashed 143 of 150, which is craziness, and had 39 players. So a difference of, 90 additional players in your player pool. Two completely different ways to get to that outcome, and you both got there in the end.
Yeah, he had a monster night on DraftKings yesterday.
Yeah. Some might say more than one way to skin a cat. I'm so proud of myself. But anyway, that's where we're at. Let's start this off. Nats and Mets. Nats 4.5 run implied total. Mets 3.5. 61% chance to win for the Nats. Pat Corbin going for Washington. Wilmer Font going for the Mets. Is anybody coming in to, or is this just full on bullpen? I didn't see anything.
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah. Corbin looks good. 40% ownership basically on the two pitcher sites. He's at 30 on FanDuel. The problem is that everybody for me outside of Verlander looks really similar. Whether that's Corbin, Minor, Maeda, Marquez, Erod. A lot of this is going to get hashed out once lineups start to come out. So how do you feel about Corbin, since I know we don't have to talk about Font?
Yeah, so I have Corbin in a separate tier. Like I have Corbin and Verlander in their own tier basically right now.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah, I really like him a lot. Obviously, it's a nice matchup against the Mets because most of their dangerous hitters are left-handed. Obviously, Pete Alonso is really good, and Wilson Ramos is a tough out. But Cano, Conforto, Nimmo, all these guys are lefties. You're not concerned all that much about Ahmed Rosario or Juan Lagares or JD Davis. And we know Corbin can strike guys out from both sides of the plate, as well. Second highest strikeout percentage on the slate this year at 28%. He's just a really good pitcher. He hasn't been quite as dominant this year as we'd seen last year, but still a really good pitcher in a favorable spot. So, you're getting like a $1,000 discount on DraftKings off of Verlander. And so I expect that I get to a lot of Corbin. I just, like I said, I have him higher than everyone else other than Verlander.
Yeah, so for me, like it's basically rounding for Corbin, Minor, Maeda, Marquez in that group on DraftKings. I am for me, honestly, it's Maeda, Corbin, Marquez, Minor, but it's so minuscule that just like shifting the lineup around, moving a high strikeout guy to the top and a low one down is enough to move those guys completely up and down. I think it's interesting that of those four guys, the ownership goes 41 Corbin, 20 to Maeda, 17 to Minor, and 6 to Marquez. So I will likely have a very different look than that, but I do like Corbin. I mean, he has the second highest ceiling of anybody on the slate. I have a little bit of respect for the Mets. I hate saying that out loud because I just don't generally like the Mets, but that's fine. Does it concern you that he's at 40% ownership by any chance?
I wouldn't say concern is the right word. I would say that I think it's high enough that there's merit to considering pivoting to guys like Mike Minor or Marquez, or Rodriguez, whoever you prefer at lower ownership, or Maeda. There's a mix of guys in good matchups and guys that just have a ton of talent. Marquez obviously is in a brutal matchup, but he's really, really good. So I think that if Corbin comes in at 40%, there's at least merit to considering those pivots, but it's not that I think that it's too high or anything like that. Cause again, I have him as a phenomenal play.
Okay. Corbin also the chalk pitcher on FanDuel right now, 31% expected ownership. Verlander just at 20. Yeah. I mean, hard for me to not advocate for Corbin. He looks good. How do you feel about Nats bats? Reason I ask, let me just make sure I refresh this so I get it right. Nats are the second most owned stack on DK right now. They are fourth on FanDuel. I'm not sure I love them as much as the ownership implies, especially if they're going outfield at the top. Now it's cheap, but I don't know. Like I don't love targeting against a bullpen game.
Yeah, neither do I. Wilmer Font has pretty decent stuff too. Yeah. It's not like he's some terrible pitcher that's starting this game. So I mean, the price tags are appealing. At the top of the lineup on guys like Victor Robles, especially Juan Soto at 4,500. He really should never be that cheap. And Rendon's affordable too. So I certainly can see why they're a popular stack, especially with the way the pitching breaks down on this slate, where most of the pitchers that we want are relatively expensive. You get like a really cheap Brian Dozier or Yan Gomes to fit in the stacks as well. So I definitely can see getting there, but it's not a spot where if they are projected for high ownership that I imagine I'd be like going over the top of that.
Yeah, same page. They have 3 guys that are eligible to play second. They don't have a single guy in their projected lineup that can play first, which not normally the position that gets left off. That's usually a pretty default. Yeah, like Soto grades out well. Victor Robles grades out well. Eaton grades out well, but they're not my idea of like a dream trio of outfielders. Brian Dozier is a guy that I always get, but it's projected for 27% ownership on DraftKings, so it's not like you're really getting a bonus out of that. I'm not the biggest fan in the Nats. I would expect to have less than the field. I understand some of the like Soto. I think kind of transcends everything here because of his power. Rendon to a lesser extent. I don't really need much else from the Nats. And And I would say J.D. Davis is probably the only guy that I have major interest in from the Mets. Alonso would be the next step down. Don't anticipate stacking up New York all that much. I think Corbin's good.
Yeah, I'd say Ramos probably if he's in the lineup, would be like my top play from the Mets just because of the position.
Yeah, $7 if you need a catcher on Yahoo. No ownership at all going to the Mets. Oddly enough, 8% to Cano is the high on DraftKings, which I'm not going to advocate for.
3,300, but yeah, brutal matchup.
Yeah, as bad as it gets for him, really.
Yeah.
Anything else here?
No.
Alrighty. Phillies and Brewers. And I wanted a little bit more out of the Brewers, or I needed like other teams to just slow down. I had so much Milwaukee yesterday.
Yeah, I had a ton of Milwaukee too.
Yeah, I loved it. That Braun home run came, and I was like, okay, I had 23% Braun, and in our ownership projections, I think he was at like 1%. I was like, well, that should make it look good. And I hit the refresh thing, and everything just went dead to the right. I was like, nice start.
Yeah. I didn't realize how much I had, like 15% Braun, and I saw the home run, or I saw you hit one, and I was like, oh, I don't think I have a lot of him because I knew I had like the lefties, and but yeah, that was like 15 times the field, so that was cool.
Yeah, I wanted one more or something to continue. I needed the Cardinals to stop just bludgeoning Fulte.
Nah, that Colton Wong homer in the 9th came through huge.
Yeah, no, it was all bad. I had a lot of Fulte on FanDuel, so that kind of softened my day. He was just too cheap. Anyway, 4.6 runs for the Phillies, 4.4 for the Brew Crew, 53% chance to win for Philadelphia. Jake Arrieta going for the Phillies, Gio Gonzalez going for the Brewers. Arrieta at 10% ownership on the two pitcher sites. I have absolutely no interest in either pitcher. I can't advocate for Arrieta when Erod is $200 more expensive than him. On a normal day, like on a different day, Arrieta is fine. But I think there are 6 legitimate options at pitching, and at best I could say that Arrieta is 7th. So I don't anticipate having either one of these guys.
That's where I'm at on Arrieta too. Just I'd rather get to that entire tier. Gonzalez, I could see getting to some of him on DraftKings just from a roster construction standpoint, because I imagine there will be lineups where I can't quite afford 2 of the more expensive pitchers. And when you look at that mid range, you have Font, you have Gonzalez, Beeks if he's the long guy, Waka against Atlanta, that's it. So I can see getting to some Gio, and I really don't know what to expect from him. We saw some improvements last year once he went to Milwaukee. This year he's made 3 starts, mixed results. 2 of those starts were in favorable matchups, and then he wasn't as good against the Cubs in terms of plate discipline numbers. So, tough matchup. It's not that I like Gio. It's just from a roster construction standpoint, I can see potentially getting to a little bit.
That I did not expect you to say.
I mean, it's just that he's when you look at the pitchers around him, he's, I think, better than them.
Yeah, I guess I
don't know how much you actually get there.
The only guy that I like below, let's say, Erod, and like is a relative term for all of these morons, is Urena at 5,300. Yeah. And I'm not excited about that, but that's sort of, if I'm going to go down, I'd rather just go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I expect that my roster constructions are mostly 2 good pitchers and then 1 good pitcher and a punt with Urena or potentially 5K Jorge Lopez. But, just one of the really cheap guys. But if for whatever reason, like I do get to that mid range, I think Gio is better than the guys around them.
Sure. Bats right now are pretty neutral on both sides, which is a little surprising to me because once again, the Brewers are pretty clearly my number 1 stack today, dollar for dollar. Phillies are in the middle of the pack, a little bit higher on DraftKings, a little lower on FanDuel, actually 3rd on Yahoo. Let's start with the Brewers. How do you feel about loading up on these Brewers bats again?
They're a little more expensive, but still, I don't mind taking guys against Arrieta. Yelich, of course, is a phenomenal play. You still have a really nice price tag on Yasmani Grandal. He's the one that stands out the most because he's a catcher. He's affordable. He's hitting from his good side of the plate where he has more power. I mean, you're talking about a catcher on DraftKings for sub 4K that has well over a 200 ISO against right-handed pitching since 2017 in a park that plays up power. He was my highest owned catcher yesterday. I imagine I'll get to a ton of him again today. Moustakas' price tag is reasonable. I don't know how much, and you get Castanheira, who is still really, really cheap, and that is a strong value play. I don't know how much I get to Milwaukee as full stacks, but I think I'll probably get to at the least a lot of like 3 and 4 mans with Grandal, Moustakas, Ura, and like Aguiar or Yelich or something.
Yeah, it's basically the same explanation I had yesterday. This park is such a massive boon for home runs on either side of the plate. And this Brewers team is set up perfectly to just put balls there constantly. That's sort of what I'm looking for when I'm playing GPPs.
Is Castanheira on FanDuel yet?
He is. 2,400.
Yeah. If they keep batting him 7th and his price tag stays down here, he's going to be like a great tournament play for a really long time because he just gets ignored. Like he was 4 or 5% owned yesterday.
Yeah.
He's one of the top prospects in baseball. He's really cheap. He's a second baseman, but because he's batting 7th, everyone just ignores him.
Yeah, which is so silly. He'll get on for every Yelich homer.
Yeah,
it's all.
He if you just compare people at that price point, like he just has so much more talent than most $3,200 DraftKings players.
Yeah, I know they're going to be my number one stack. My hope is that actually, you know what, the Rockies could catch them because of pitcher ownership. But if I'm lucky, more people will go to Arrieta later in the day, and that'll drive up my Brewers exposure. He's the guy. It's the team I want. I'm all year. I think I'm going to be all over the Brewers.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm perfectly okay with that. Any interest in the Phillies? For me, it's mostly just the Kutch, Harper, Hoskins trio.
If they're projected for low ownership, then yeah, I think their price tags are pretty affordable as well. You get another really strong catching option in Real Muto. Segura, McCutchen, both good from the right side. Hoskins obviously really good. Gio's, like I said, Gio's kind of a mixed bag. You don't really know what you're going to get, but because of this park, there is a ton of upside. So if people are going to go to the Nats and go to the other teams, then I think I'll probably get to a pretty healthy amount of Philly.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have some of these guys. McCutchen already at 22% expected ownership on DK, but anytime, like, if Harper's at 6 and Hoskins is at 4, I'm just going to have more of those guys. That's all I can do. And I got bit by, like, a mosquito or something this morning, and it doesn't feel awesome.
This morning?
Yeah, working on the pool a little bit before the day started.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I wasn't, like, trudging through the wilderness or anything.
I was going to ask if you had like mosquitoes in your house or something.
No, I was around the pool pump and there's like funky water.
Yeah.
Marlins and Rays. Marlins 3.2 run implied total. Rays 4.3. 63% chance to win for the Rays. Jose Urena going for the Marlins. I assume Jalen Beeks coming in for the Rays. Urena 15% expected ownership on DraftKings right now. I was thinking, like, he probably won't get that owned. Apparently he will. Which makes me a little interested in the top of the Rays lineup. What do you think you're going to do with Beeks? Price tag is climbing. 5,500 on FanDuel, though. 25 on Yahoo.
He's how much on FanDuel?
5,500.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough on FanDuel since you can't get the quality start.
Yeah.
What is he on DraftKings? Like 76?
76?
Yeah. I like him more than Gio. Obviously, it's just a phenomenal matchup against Miami. He's pitched well. It's a price point there where you're not super excited about it. But I would say that, basically everything I said about Gio, where it's a dead price range from a roster construction standpoint, I would say that I feel a bit better about Beeks than Gio just because of the matchup and the park.
I don't know what to make with Jalen Beeks every week. It's just like one day it's 3 innings and it's 7 and he's mowing people down, and you always have to like, he's weird on FanDuel because you have no chance at a quality start bonus, which shouldn't even be a thing. FanDuel, just get rid of that.
You do get a better chance at a win.
You do. Because he doesn't have to go 5 innings.
Right.
All of it's dumb. All of that stuff is baseball is so stupid when it comes to like the tracking process.
Yep.
We don't need to worry about earned runs. We don't need to worry about the qualifications of a pitcher win. We all know who gets the win. Just, oh my God. That annoys me so much.
Dude, can you imagine how frustrating DFS would be if they actually let the scorers dictate who got the win?
God, people would lose their minds.
Yeah.
People would they would absolutely. What's the right answer?
Stop tracking wins.
Probably. It just not being a category. Yeah. Wow. That'll never happen.
But no, I mean, I think the right answer is to give it to the scorer. It's just that scorers would make mistakes.
Yeah, I assume they're not very good at it.
Yeah. I mean, look at basketball scorers. They don't even know what a block or a steal is or who did it.
And depending on whether the game is home or not, I mean, I know for the longest time, John Wall's assist rate in home games was dramatically different than it was on the road.
Anthony Davis's blocks.
Yeah. I remember it always as Wall's assists. We don't have to worry about him getting any of those for a while.
Yeah.
Oh. So.
Yeah, but at least Ernie Grunfeld's not the GM. We can keep going back to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of Bradley Beal bull pick and rolls. Get all those B's involved. Rays are picking up some ownership on FanDuel. Choi in particular, 27% expected ownership. I have some interest in Rays bats. They're not normally like my favorite stack, but if Urena gets to 15% on DK, I'll probably have a little bit of interest just on the opposite side of that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. They're expensive in Miami, which isn't really that great.
They're my second worst dollar for dollar stack on DK right now.
Austin Meadows is 5,500. I love Austin Meadows, don't get me wrong, but not at that price on the slate in this park. Brandon Lau's almost 5K. It's really tough to get to Tampa Bay in this park. And Urena, I think, is a good enough pitcher. It's not like he's a gas can.
Right.
Miami's bullpen, not particularly good, but it's just a really expensive stack.
Yeah. There are 3 bats on DK that are in double digits for the Marlins. I don't particularly need that in my life.
Yeah. Starlin Castro is still free if you need to go there. But
more than anything, I anticipate just not really being in this game.
Yep.
Alrighty. Red Sox and Rockies. The reports of Chris Sale's demise have been greatly exaggerated. Mowed down 17 last night. Dude's dirty. 4.5 run implied total for the Sox, 4 for the Rockies, 56% chance to win for Boston. Eduardo Rodriguez going for the Sox, Herman Marquez going for the Rockies. So I greatly probably overvalue Erod. He's my number 2 pitcher on the slate relative to salary. And public seems to be right there in the 30s on Yahoo and DK, 14 on FanDuel. Marquez not getting ownership. 3% on Yahoo, 4% on FanDuel, 6% on DraftKings. I really like Erod here, but feels like another spot where you can get a little bit above the field on Marquez if you're a believer in his stuff. Clearly a difficult matchup.
Yeah, really difficult matchup for Marquez. The ownership is appealing. Obviously, just from a talent perspective, like he doesn't project well for me because he's facing the Red Sox and they have a 5 implied run total, but he's just such a good pitcher with such a high ceiling based on his stuff that I'm never upset if I can get overweight on him in tournaments. I'm with you on Rodriguez. I like the spot. I like him as, one of the better point per dollar options on the slate. Some of it will depend what lineup the Rockies roll out there. The lineup they had yesterday, for example, was basically all the strikeouts they possibly could put out there. The one thing that is interesting is, Rodriguez will give up some power to lefties. So guys like Dahl and Blackman could be kind of interesting. But if you get like a Daniel Murphy lineup or something like that, where they're cutting down on strikeouts, it becomes a little less appealing. But I still, I still like the spot getting Colorado, outside of Coors Field. And really the only good right-handed hitters in the lineup are Story and Arenado.
You explained it all. We're on the same spot here. I'm a little surprised with how popular he is. Third most. I understand. I expected him to have some ownership, but he tends to not get the same sort of love that I give him. So I was hoping that it would be lower, but it is not. Third most ownership on DK right now. He is third as well on FanDuel. I'm in for it though. I don't want to avoid it. There's a lot of potential strikeouts there, but like you said, I think the lineup as it's constituted right now is probably like my best option for strikeouts, and it could only probably go down.
Yeah, I do like Arenado and Story as leverage one-offs though.
Yeah, they grade out really well for me. I anticipate having them in non-Erod lineups.
Yeah.
What about Marquez? What can you do here against the Red Sox and a team that doesn't really strike out all that often?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot. It's something where, as far as my process goes, I've been trying to improve this year, and especially because I'm playing, 150 lineups now, whereas I didn't in the past. In the past, it's the spot where I would probably talk myself into just like jamming Marquez in everywhere. When I was playing like 10 or 15 lineups, and like just having $9,000 really, really good pitcher be my stand. Where if he happens to be the high scorer on the slate, then I'm a really, really good spot relative to the field. Having 150 lineups now, where I have the ability to, spread exposures out and be contrarian in a variety of different ways. I don't know that I'll get to that much just because he doesn't project that well. It is a really tough spot. Not a lot of strikeouts and a lot of good hitters, and also very good pitchers in favorable spots. So even if Marquez goes out there and has a good game and puts up like 25 points, there's still a good chance that he just gets blown out of the water by like Verlander against the Tigers or Corbin against the Mets. So it's a really tough spot for him actually to succeed. But I also love his talent, and I love getting him at low ownership. So I don't think I'll get to more than 10, 15% like max. But it's a spot where I think that it's reasonable to come in overweight just because of how good he is.
Yeah, I like him most on FanDuel, where he's 8,700. He's the fifth most expensive pitcher, but he's at 4% ownership. Minor is at $1,200 more expensive, and then we've got Corbin at 31. I think it's just kind of easier to pay for Marquez there, and you don't have to go crazy. If he's only owned at 4% and that holds, that is not a lot of ownership at all. Bats, I mean, I like both pitchers. I don't have a ton of interest in like full off stacks for this game. I'm always interested in bats that are good. So Blackman, Story, Arenado, Betts, JD, Moreland, that stuff is fine. I can't imagine getting to a bulk of 5-mans, and the public is not on these guys either.
Yeah, I mean, the price tags on DraftKings in particular for Boston are pretty appealing. Marquez obviously is really good, but the Rockies bullpen is one of the worst in baseball. And Mookie's the only hitter on this team at 5K, and he's 5K flat. Everyone else is less. That's a lot of talent for pretty reasonable prices. So I could see getting there from that standpoint. But again, it's a brutal matchup against Marquez, and there are some pretty nice spots to go to on this slate.
Yeah. Favorite bat in this game?
Arenado.
Okay.
And then Story.
I'll go Story then Arenado, but we're on the same page here. It's mostly coming from Colorado.
How's Erod at holding runners? I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't know.
No idea.
Because that would probably end up being the tiebreaker for me, because I think Arenado is a better hitter than Story. Story obviously is really good though. But Story gives you a ton of base stealing upside too.
I've literally never looked it up because
my gut says
either you or Jake just tell me the answer.
Yeah, my gut is that he's not very good, but I'm looking now.
Okay. Yeah. He doesn't look like he would be.
Yeah, for some reason I just feel like he doesn't hold runners.
But I truly don't know.
Come on, Fangraphs. All right. He has allowed. He looks like he's probably good. He's allowed 2 stolen bases this year. For his career, he has been basically he's slightly above average for his career.
Okay. So, not making a difference on this one.
No.
Alrighty, moving on. The ace of the day, in my opinion, and most, I guess. 3.3 run implied total for the Tigers, 5.2 for the Astros, 70% chance to win for Houston. Gregory Soto going for the Tigers, I believe. Justin Verlander going for the Astros. Verlander is grading out to me today the same way that Sale did yesterday. I've got him projected for 9.2 strikeouts. That's 2 full strikeouts higher than anybody else on the slate. He's just on a completely different tier. On FanDuel, he's $2,400 more expensive than the next closest guy, which oddly enough is Mike Soroka, which is wrong. At least Corbin is second. Soroka is a more reasonable 7th on DK. But I can't not advocate for Verlander. Tigers run out a sea of righties. They strike out a ton. I mean, this matchup is tailor-made for Justin Verlander.
Yep.
Knows the park, I guess, too.
What'd you say?
Revenge narrative or something?
Oh,
he
yeah.
knows the park? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I have him in the tier with Corbin, but it's not that I'm low on Verlander; it's that I'm high on Corbin. So yeah, great spot. Detroit strikes out a ton. Last I looked, I think last night when I did the podcast, Detroit is up to the highest strikeout percentage against right-handed pitching this year, just ahead of the Blue Jays. So really good spot there. Verlander with the highest strikeout percentage on the slate this year at a little over 30%. Really nothing at all to dislike about Verlander.
I'm pulling it up now. The righty splits. Tigers this season strikeout rate versus righties. Oh, they're not at the top.
You said they're not?
They're 7th.
Are you on their active roster?
No. They are 2nd, tied with the Padres, both at 25.9. But either way, I mean, even when they were 7th, it was a 25% K rate. Like they're going to strike out. He's a no-brainer cash option. He's just really good and should completely mow these dudes down. I don't know what else there is to say. Justin Verlander is really good, and the Tigers aren't. Well,
Correct.
They're fine. It's a really bad DFS matchup. Any Soto for you?
I can't believe this guy's still in the majors. I thought his start last time, because it was the day of the Detroit Minnesota doubleheader. I thought he was just pitching to save other arms. Like, this guy's their 26th prospect. He hasn't pitched above Double-A. He's not good at all, like anywhere.
You ready for this? Here's the 3 key steamer rates: 6.7 Ks per 9, 5.7 walks per 9, a 5.86 FIP.
Yeah, he's terrible. I didn't realize that was who they were going with today, and I'm ready for another slate of 30% owned Astros that probably are still too low owned.
Yeah, so Astros grayed out as my number 4 stack on FanDuel, number 3 on DK, and number 5 on Yahoo. I actually think that I will come in underweight on the Astros. They are currently the chalk stack on FanDuel and the chalk stack on DraftKings pretty aggressively. I know that I'm going to come in under, but I'm not really happy about it because they should bludgeon this dude.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the big difference between baseball and a sport like basketball. The Astros are good chalk. Like, there's nothing. The Tigers bullpen has allowed the most home runs per 9 this year. They have the 6th worst xFIP. The starting pitcher's terrible. There is no reason not to like the Astros here. They will be high owned. They should be high owned. They're the best plays on the slate. If you're playing cash, you probably should have 5 of them or as many as you can on your site in your lineup. But there's just so much volatility in baseball that if you tell me any stack is 20 to 30% owned, like every hitter on the team is 20 to 30% owned, you just don't have to be there.
Yep.
And to reinforce that, not only, obviously is there a good chance that it fails just because it's baseball, but, also keep in mind, look at last night. The Astros were, everyone in that lineup was like 20% owned, and they did really well. You still didn't need them to win a tournament.
Nope.
My lineup that tied for first was Cardinals with 2 Padres and a Royal. The Astros doing well made it really difficult for me to win that tournament because I was underweight on them because of their ownership. But you can get there in other ways regardless. It's just it's a different sport. I love the Astros. I don't have confidence that I'm going to make money tonight if I'm underweight on them. But if you put their ownership at 20+% every single night of the season, and I just fade the spot every time, I think I win more tournaments than if I'm playing against 20% of the field with Astro stacks.
Yeah, and you mentioned it at the beginning of what you said. Completely different story for cash.
Yeah,
they are the answer in a cash game for sure. Having like Verlander and a couple of these Astro bats are surely the right answer. Not going to find any problems with $4,800 Carlos Correa in this spot against the lefty Soto.
Yeah, and like to reiterate too, like I don't want it to sound like I'm going into the slate like, oh, I'm fading the Astros. I hope I get a lot of Houston because it means that I've found ways to be contrarian elsewhere. Like Houston mixed with pitchers that aren't owned or something like that. I'm very happy with whatever Houston I get. It's just that the way that I play tournaments, basically any stack at any spot, if they're if most of the hitters are pushing 20 to 30% ownership, I'll normally come in underweight.
Yep. Yeah, I'll certainly have them. They're going to be one of my more owned teams, but I don't expect them to be first.
Yeah. Like last night, I had a lot of Houston guys around like 10%.
Yeah.
That made me underweight because everyone else had them at 20%.
Yeah. Baseball, so different. Any Tigers bats for you? I can't imagine we're looking to run head first into Verlander.
No, I mean, no, yeah.
Kristen Stewart is 3,400.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kristen Stewart's 3,400. Castellanos is 3,700. Those would be the two.
Yeah, it's just not.
Goodrum's 3K.
Candelario's 2,700.
I was naming the guys that I was interested in.
Yeah, I get it. Well, if he's not leading off, I'm less interested in him as well.
But no, I mean the point there being like there is power in the Detroit lineup. If you can probably get some pretty high upside stacks with good pitching if you're willing to just like hope that Kristen Stewart hits a home run off Verlander.
You don't need to play the hedge against Verlander. You can just not play Verlander. He can be passable, and that's all you need. You don't have to hope that the Tigers also score 14 runs off of him in the first 4 innings.
Yeah, and I really have no interest in stacking Detroit. Like any Detroit I get to, I would expect it to be like, here's a cheap, really good hitter in Nick Castellanos. Hopefully he hits the ball over the fence.
Yeah, same page. I would be very surprised if I had a Tigers 5-man.
Yeah.
Alrighty, 3 to go. It's going to be a quick one today. Braves and Cardinals, 5.1 run implied total for the Braves, 4.3 for the Cards. It's a 57% chance to win for Atlanta. Mike Soroka going for the Braves. Michael Wacha going for the Cardinals. I don't have any interest in either guy. Soroka is at 6% ownership on Yahoo and 4 on DK. The fact that he's the second most expensive pitcher on FanDuel, you can pretty easily get away from him. Talk to me about Soroka. Is he a guy that's on your radar in the middle tier on DK?
No, not really. Not on this slate. On a lot of slates he would be, but I have a ton of respect for the Cardinals offense, even though they are primarily right-handed. I have a lot of respect for Soroka as well, but you just have so many pitchers on this slate that are either in better matchups, guys like Verlander, Corbin, Maeda, or are more talented in a bad matchup like Herman Marquez. Rodriguez in a better matchup as well. It's basically just impossible for me to get to Soroka there.
Yeah, I'm not interested. Cardinals are good. It's not I have no interest, and I won't be doing any Michael Wacha. Not my cup of tea.
Nope.
A little bit of ownership going to the Braves, second highest implied total on the slate right now. I have some interest in the first 4: Acuna, Swanson, Freeman, Donaldson. I don't like Albies hitting 6th now. It feels weird.
I don't like Albies hitting left-handed ever, so
that's also true. Not great at it. But I really don't like him hitting 6th.
Yeah.
There's just no reason that they should just flip him and Swanson. I wanted Dansby Swanson to be really good for the Braves, but
I think he is now.
But you know what I mean. Well, is he? Would you say that he's better than Albies?
Albies from which side?
That's fair. Albies in the aggregate?
No.
Yeah, move him up. Where's Bobby Cox at when you need him? Probably getting thrown out of something.
What?
Do you think he gets thrown out of other things in life? Like, is he constantly being removed from bars and stuff?
Have you heard any? That totally random, but have you heard anything about his health condition? Because he had that stroke or whatever, and it sounded like things were pretty bad. And then I just never heard anything else about it.
He could be not alive right now, and I wouldn't.
Okay,
remember.
yeah, I just remembered it happened like a month or so ago. But
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, there were reports that he was taken to the hospital and they thought he'd had a stroke, but then there was a lot of we're not at liberty to say his condition at this time kind of stuff that didn't sound very good. And then I just never really heard anything else about it.
If you told me that Bobby Cox died 2 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, that makes sense. He looked unhealthy for 30 years. So
yeah.
Sorry, Bobby. Big fan. You were never looking great. A lot of managers just not looking great. What do you think about Braves bats?
I like their prices. I like the upside. This game in general, it's kind of like I felt about last night's game, where I have respect for Soroka. I have less respect for Waka. But he's still not a terrible pitcher. But you just have a lot of really good hitters that are pretty affordable. And I think one of the biggest or most profitable strategies in tournaments is to just kind of get the most talent that you can in your stacks and not worry too much about what pitcher they're facing. And you obviously get that from Atlanta. So I do like them.
Favorite Atlanta bat?
Freeman or Acuna. Probably Acuna.
Acuna for me now that he's leading off. Not that I'm not a Freeman fan.
Yeah.
Cards bats is the same as it usually is, I guess.
Yep. Everything I just said about Atlanta. Like Soroka, I think is better than Waka.
Yeah.
But still, Carpenter, DeYoung, Ozuna, Martinez, Molina, like these are really, really difficult outs. Then you still get, decent hitters with Fowler and Wong. So just a really deep lineup, affordable. Not a top stack for me, I wouldn't expect, but still a really high upside team.
Yep.
Like I think if you stack the Cardinals at mid 4K price tags every slate all season, you make money.
Yeah, you're never going to be upset. I mean, the first four guys in their order all have north of 200 ISOs via Steamer.
Yeah.
It's third, first, short outfield. I mean, that's a fantastically easy stack to put together. If you want to add a fifth guy, Molina's sitting right there. Jose Martinez is sitting right there. If you need a second baseman, Colton Wong is right there. And, well, not very good, but that's neither here nor there.
He's a hero. Watch your mouth.
I was hoping you would go with something like that. You exceeded my expectations. Favorite bat in this entire game?
In the entire game is Acuna.
Okay.
But then I do like Goldschmidt, Freeman, and Carpenter all a ton as well.
Okay. I have Carpenter and Acuna exactly the same dollar for dollar on both FanDuel and DraftKings, which is crazy.
Just scrolling through my early projections, I think I get to a lot of this game.
Okay.
Like I have Josh Donaldson as a good play. I have Acuna as one of the best plays on the slate in terms of projected points and point per dollar. Carpenter is one of the best point per dollar plays. Goldschmidt is a top play. Donaldson is a really good play. Yeah, so I think I probably get to at least like 3-mans a lot of these teams.
Yeah, I actually don't expect to get to much of any. Braves are pretty chalky on DK. I can almost guarantee that I'll be underweight. They are my 9th ranked stack, dollar for dollar.
If I end up underweight on Houston, I imagine I'm not really caring where I come in on other teams.
I'm going to end up with a lot of Mets, I think, today.
Yeah, I'm not.
Kind of scares me. Maybe not a lot, but like more than the field.
Yeah.
Just eyeballing this right now. It's really interesting to see. Like when I look at my table on DK, I can usually get a pretty good idea of where things are going to end up. It's going to prioritize the best value stacks, and then every spot where there's a team against a pitcher that has some ownership, they likely get pulled up. And Brewers are my number 1, but they're getting 10% ownership from Arrieta, so they're going to stay there. Padres are my number 2, 20% ownership of Maeda, so I think they're going to stay there. I expect the Astros to tumble because they have got a lot of ownership, and then Rockies are third, 34% expected ownership to Erod. It's going to be really crazy. On a normal slate, the Mets would probably get yanked up because of all of the ownership going to Corbin, but they might just get pinched out because of how much I end up playing the Rockies against Erod. I'm either going to have Erod or the Rockies in basically every stack at the way I'm looking at this. It's going to be 50% Erod, 50% Rockies stacks. Can't wait.
Also, a very favorable hitters umpire in this game, and most of the umpires on this slate are pitcher friendly.
Good to know.
Just happened to notice that.
2 to go. Royals and Rangers. Royals 4.2 run implied total. Rangers 4.8. 56% chance to win for Texas. Jorge Lopez going for the Royals. Mike Minor going for the Rangers. No ownership really going to Lopez. Minor 20% on the 2-pitcher sites. 12% right now on FanDuel. I mentioned at the beginning, Minor is in this group of 6 arms that I think have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. He's at, like I said, 17% ownership on DK. I assume that I'll be somewhere around that number. There's just so many strikeouts in the Royals lineup, but they do run pretty heavily to the right, which is not exactly a benefit here. Talk to me about Minor.
Yeah, I had more interest in him on the podcast last night because I kind of assumed that he'd be the guy that went overlooked a little bit, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. I think getting around the field, like you said, makes sense, but it's just not that great of a matchup against Kansas City. Like there are strikeouts for sure, but we've talked before about how like the top of this lineup is good, and then the bottom is not. But it just makes it so it's not as favorable a matchup as you would think if you just look at like aggregate numbers. So it's kind of a dangerous spot with guys like Merrifield. Obviously lefty lefty with Gordon is favorable. But yeah, like I think Miner's a good play. It's just that I would rather get Corbin for a little bit more. I'd rather get Verlander if I can. I'd rather save money for Erod, and then I kind of get to Miner.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat right now. On a different day, he could look like the ace of the entire slate. But
yeah, and I mean, and then there's also I think it's very close between him and Maeda against the Padres.
Same. I think Marquez is close as well.
Yeah, sure.
There's just a lot of different options there. I'm anxious to see where it all shakes out for me. The lineups are going to play such a pivotal role.
Yeah.
Because every little bit is going to matter.
Yeah, I have everyone projected so close outside of Verlander and Corbin.
Yeah, same. So Rangers bats are pretty popular on FanDuel. Royals bats are a little popular on DK. For me, Royals are near the bottom on FanDuel and DK. Rangers are in the middle of the pack-ish. What do you think you're doing in this game? Because I just see like a bunch of one-off spots.
Yeah, obviously, I have a ton of respect for Mike Minor, which makes me not really want to stack Kansas City. Texas does have the worst bullpen in baseball, which gives them a lot of upside, at least. Merrifield, I think, is a really good play. Dozier's a good play. From the other side, I'm more interested in Texas because Lopez, I think, is a pretty mediocre pitcher, and that's probably the high end. Kansas City's bullpen, middle of the pack this year, but just so much power for Texas, with guys like Gallo, Chu, Mazzara is reasonably priced, Odor, and Cabrera are relatively inexpensive. I think it's a high upside spot for both teams. I would lean towards Texas, though.
Yeah, same. Chu, Mazzara, Gallo, Odor standing out pretty aggressively for me. That's just really not that fun of a stack. 3 outfielders and a second baseman. You need a very specific team to pair with them. Mondesi grading out as my number one option from the Royals. Yeah, I don't think that I'm going to have as much as the public here. Kind of makes me nervous because of the 4.8 run total. I would guess I'd have a lot more Texas if this game was in Texas. But what's the Royals park look like for park factors?
I think it's one of the parks that plays much, much differently depending on what time of year it is.
91 park factor against for lefty hitters, 93 for righties. So really muting power. Not a huge issue for me for Gallo, but something to think about.
Yeah, like it'll get super humid out there over the summer, but I doubt we're to that point yet.
Nah, I don't think so. Favorite hitter in this game?
It's either Merrifield or Gallo.
Okay. Yeah, Gallo for me. Close it out. Dodgers and Padres. 4.4 run implied total for the Dodgers. 3.6 for the Padres. 60% chance to win for LA. Kenta Maeda going for the Dodgers. Matt Strom going for the Padres. I like Maeda quite a bit here. He's at 38% ownership on Yahoo, 20 on DK, 11 on FanDuel. He's part of the 6 that grade out well. He's my number 3 dollar for dollar on DraftKings right now. He is tied with Erod for second on FanDuel. They are at 84 and 8,300 respectively. I'm just a big fan of being able to get to Maeda, and I'm not super worried about the Padres. They're a pretty solid amount of strikeouts here for them.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of power, but also a lot of strikeouts in there. The biggest issue with Maeda would be that he's not likely to go nearly as deep into a game as someone like Corbin or Verlander. But he goes deep enough. I mean, if you can get 90, 95 pitches out of him, you should be fine. Much, much, much better against righties than lefties. And it's a predominantly right-handed San Diego lineup. So, I like him a lot. again, it'll come down to what lineups actually look like and what projected ownership looks like come 6:30. How I divvy up these pitching options that all project basically the same. But I really like the spot for Maeda.
Yeah, I mean, just the Hedges and Myers and Renfroe, Reyes. These guys strike out a ton.
Yeah,
Get the benefit of righty as well.
They can all hit the ball to the moon, especially Reyes and Renfroe, but they do strike out.
I don't remember if it's this video or live before lock, but I made Reyes the thumbnail today.
Nice.
Not that interesting, but fun. I was looking for somebody random, and he graded out really well.
He came through last night too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, home run and a double.
Yeah, I don't know anything that happens in these damn late games.
Yeah, homered off Kershaw, I think, in his first at bat.
It's like a different league for me.
Yeah.
Dodgers, it's all the ownership is basically going to Kike. Not a lot of ownership going to the Padres. So the Padres, oddly enough, dollar for dollar, number 3 stack on FanDuel, number 2 on DraftKings, number 2 on Yahoo. I expect to have a lot of Padres, which means that I think that Kenta Maeda is going to end up being my biggest fade. Not happy about it. Not the one where I'm just like, okay, this is all lining up and I like it too.
Yeah, I'm not getting to the Padres. I can, outside of probably like some one-offs for guys like Reyes and Renfroe and Machado.
They're so cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Reyes, $3K. Manny Machado, $3,400. Hosmer.
Is that cheap on FanDuel though, relative to other guys?
Which one are we talking about?
Any of them, like anything above 3K, I feel like is like being like 4,500 on DraftKings.
Not Cody Bellinger is 40. Justin Turner's 3,400, and so is Machado.
Yeah, so Turner's a better player.
I mean, I would rather have Machado than Turner.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I would take Turner.
I mean, I don't want it to sound like I greatly prefer either guy. I think they're both really fantastic options. But Hosmer 2,900. They're really easy to get to. And if Maeda gets any sort of ownership, I know that I'm going to pull the Padres higher because of how well they grade out. And it makes it really easy to do Verlander, Padres, and have a lot of quality, either like another 3-man, or I think I could fill out a lot with them. It's not going to take much to, like, if I get to 12 to 15% on most Padre bats, that's still not a ton of ownership, but no one's higher than 6% right now. So I'm interested in it. It's not an exciting spot, but if it goes well, it's my ticket to the top, I think.
I have right now. Turner is projected for 0.02 of a point higher than Machado.
Okay. Yeah, I have Turner 0.5 ahead, but I have Machado pretty sizably ahead in target score percentage.
Yeah, that makes sense. And he's cheaper than Turner also on DraftKings. But yeah, I just thought it was funny that it's like the exact same projection.
Yeah, I have them at I have 0.4 of a point behind on DraftKings. Favorite bat in this game?
Kike.
Yeah, and the public would agree. Favorite non-Kike?
Let me see. I mean, obviously love Bellinger, but I mean probably Manny at 3,700 or 4,100 on DraftKings.
Gotcha. Oddly enough, Franmil Reyes, number 2 for me in this game. Actually, that's not even true. Number 1 relative to salary. $3,700 outfielder with massive power. I guess I'll do that. Go Padres tonight, baby. Woo! Team Padres. I'd say I'd wear my Padres shirt tonight, but I don't own that. Never had a piece of Padres gear in my life. Sorry, Tony Gwynn. All right, top stacks for today. Where are you leaning right now?
I mean, Houston's obviously the top stack if we ignore ownership, but beyond Houston, I would say Texas, Atlanta, Milwaukee.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on Milwaukee. Hitch your wagon to the Padres, people. Come with me. I could lead you to negative 40% ROI for the day. Alrighty, big day today. We have Ben and Jason doing PGA Live Before Lock tonight at 9 p.m. before PGA Championship, second major of the year, big one. We got a millionaire tournament going on DK, so go check that out. Lofty will be back with the deep dive in the early afternoon. Deeper dive from 5 to 6. Live Before Lock from 6 to 7. Myself and Chris Spags walking through all 8 games. Again, we have, what else we have coming up? Awesome Awad's betting show will be on Friday. Stay tuned for a new sponsor. Should be fun. Anything else going on right now? I guess we just got to plug your success from yesterday. Lots of Awesemo logos at the top of that tournament, right? Or was that a different one?
Not that one. The $5 on DraftKings was just, I think Alex got 3rd. I got like 4th and 6th. Tom got 9th.
Corner in the market. I love it. I love it. Check out Spotlight Pitchers, Spotlight Hitters and Stacks. Some free articles that we have posted to the website right now coming from myself and from EMAC. I'm dropping the link back into chat for Yahoo. If you want to sign up for Yahoo, please use that link. Helps us out tremendously. Use the promo code AWESEMO to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. And I think that is it. Hitch your wagon to me, people. I'm going to be there at the top with a Padres stack. Alone. Actually, I'll probably be at the bottom alone with a Padres stack. It's baseball, so you never know. It's all about opportunity. That's all I got. You good?
Yeah.
All right, go back to bed.
Thanks,
guys, for joining us. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Subscribe to the channel, which is now verified. Thank you very much to our newest member, Chris, for getting that done. There are some other people that don't necessarily have that same sort of benefit. Gotta love it. Later, everybody.